Hello everyone, we are popping in with a really fun tutorial video today. We are talking about how to upgrade your dresser on a budget. I am knee deep in renovations over here and I'm kind of looking around my home and I'm trying to prioritize where this budget goes. What I do know is that I am in desperate need of new furniture. What I won't do is shell out thousands of dollars for new furniture when the furniture that I already have is in perfectly working order. Maybe a little jush, a minor facelift, or like a complete overhaul. The choice is yours. If you're looking to upgrade some existing furniture that you already have in your space, this video is for you. So this first project is why I even made this video. I have this dresser in my primary bedroom and I'm making over the entire primary bedroom. And the reason why it's taken so long is because I cannot find the perfect dresser. The one that I have is perfect. It has the right height, the right size, the soft drawer glides still work. It's just got really beautiful detailing on it, but the biggest issue is that it's the wrong color. Okay, so I hightailed into my storage. I pulled out all of my old chalk paint, and here we are, guys. This is the dresser glow up that is going to make my primary bedroom completely sing. So the before bedroom was all chocolate, all gilded. We had a lot of gold glam in there, but now that I kind of wiped it all out, I have this really beautiful, serene, soft green on the walls. I knew that this gold was just not gonna cut it. So the finish is really beautiful, but it's lacquered, okay? I really tried my hardest to salvage this as much as I can. I hate slapping like a coat of paint on a beautiful piece of wood furniture. Like, it hurts my heart. So my contractor actually gave me a paint thinner. I tried to thin out this lacquer. So here's where we started, okay? You just brush on this really thin thinner and then you let it sit. And now here we are 6 hours later, this thing barely budged. I was like, you know what, we're gonna abort and we are going to resort to one of my tried and true faves, Annie Sloan chalk paint. Why do I love this chalk paint? Because it's almost zero prep involved. So here's how we're gonna prep this dresser. You'll start by removing all of the drawers, removing all of the hardware. I like to vacuum around the entire thing because Lord knows this dresser's been sitting there for almost a decade now. This is how much I love it, okay? It's such a beautiful piece. Can you imagine how much time this would take to strip this thing of its lacquer? That's why I was just like, you know what? Sometimes you really just have to call it a day, understand what you can and cannot do, and move on. So here I am sanding down the dresser with a really light sanding, okay? The great thing about Annie Sloan chalk paint is that it's so dense. So no matter what coating you put on top of that, it's really going to cover all of the imperfections underneath it. So after you give it a light sanding, give it a light wipe, we are using a chalk paint brush. Remember that chalk paint is super dense. So the brush that comes along with it has to be dense as well to pick up all of that pigment. And then as you brush it on, the thing that I love about chalk paint is that the first application is really just about depositing the color. We just need to get the first coat on there. You're gonna see some stripes, you're gonna see some variation, but don't worry. This thing dries so quickly, like literally, it probably dries 30 minutes in the sun and maybe a little bit under an hour if you're indoors. So I actually pulled the drawers outside and then remembered that my gardener was coming. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna leave the dresser indoors, do the drawers outside really quickly and then bring them all in. So here I am prepping the drawers as well. We're kind of wiping that all down, cleaning it all down. But this dresser, you see, it has so many details. There's so many little nooks and crannies. So that is why I love using the chalk paint, because that chalk paint with this really dense brush can get into all of those little crevices. The chalk paint color that I'm using is Country Gray, which doesn't look like a gray at all. It's this really, really beautiful, warm ivory color. I don't even know why they call it country. I guess it feels like it has a farmhouse vibe, but I don't want you to be scared off by what people have done previously. My dresser is a little bit more, it's transitional. You could put it in a really classic traditional setting, or you can put it in a really contemporary setting, and I feel like it will totally vibe. So here we are in the sun, okay? The chalk paint is going to dry so fast in the sun. So I'm kind of jumping back and forth, I'm prepping and painting the drawers outside, and then while that dries, its first coat, I run back in and do the dresser. So we're kind of doing this simultaneously, which is why it was such a quick project today. And here is the first coat. You'll see that there's still a lot of variation, okay? But don't worry, that second coat is going to be so glorious and it's gonna cover up all of those little imperfections that you see. Now here we are 30 minutes later out in the sun with the second coat. The second coat is the same as the first. You're kind of just dolloping all of that pigment onto the drawers. I'm using just a really simple brush stroke. I'm kind of just going on the length of the drawer. The thing with chalk paint is because it's so dense, you'll see the brush strokes. So instead of brushing it on in like a really haphazard pattern, try to go long with your strokes. Don't forget the edges, okay? When you open your drawers and then all of a sudden like that top is unpainted, that's like a rookie mistake. So make sure that you inspect every single edge of your drawers. I mean, there's 6 of them, okay? There's a lot happening here. Okay, here we are. Another 30 minutes and that second coat has dried. So we're moving it back inside and let's take a look at our dresser. This is actually looking pretty good as well. I am depositing more pigment onto the first coat. So the second coat will cover in and hide all of those areas that you didn't catch on the first round. You see why I love this dresser? I mean, look at it. It's so pretty. All of this detailing. And here we are with the last step. This is my favorite because this is going to make your dresser totally pop. It is the wax sealer. With Annie Sloan chalk paint, you actually have 2 choices for a top coat. You can either use a wax coat, which gives it like this waxy effect. When you put it on, it almost looks greasy, but then it dries and it has this really beautiful kind of like matte finish to it. So you see how that color, that pigment just like really comes out? It also gives it a little darker finish as well. So before it really looks like chalk, it feels like chalk, it's matte, it's milky, and then that final top coat of wax on it just makes it feel very high-end. So I'm attaching all of the hardware on right now, and I actually love the original hardware, so I'm not even going to paint over this. It's a really beautiful nickel color that really vibes in my space. So here's the final assembly. The PSA, put all of your furniture on felt pads, people. There's no need to wait for my husband to come home from work and help me like push this drawer out, like stop. This is the 21st century. I am here doing everything myself, all right? Okay, so we're placing everything in place, and it's almost like a little sneak peek about what's happening in this primary bedroom as well. I still have a couple of finishing touches in there, but this dresser, oh my gosh, I'm so happy with the final result. What do you think? So the total time it took was just under 2 hours of total time. That includes prep, painting, waxing. On a scale of 1 to 5, the difficulty level for this piece of furniture is probably about a 2, right guys? I mean, I have my editors back here as well. They don't do any DIYs, they don't paint at all. But they watch me do this and they're like, oh my God, this is so easy. And I'm like, here guys, take this can of paint, okay? Go home, paint something. Tell me how difficult that was. How'd you guys do? Okay, so difficulty level 2 out of 5 is not bad, and a 2-hour project, which to me is like nothing at all, especially you've got 24 hours in a day. This is only 2 hours of your day. So this next dresser glow up is my entryway makeover. I had this really beautiful dresser, and it was one of those first purchases that I ever made when I had some money. I want to say I've had this dresser for about 15 years. When I originally found it on Craigslist, the before dresser was just like a very white basic cabinet, and then I was in my like jewel tone era, and I slapped like this coat of hot pink paint on it. And then when I moved into this house, I'm like, I still love this dresser, but that hot pink was just like, oh my gosh, it was a lot of color. So this is when I first discovered Annie Sloan chalk paint with this technique, okay, which I love. Now this color is called French linen, which should have been called country gray, and they should have reversed the previous one, but here we are. This is French linen. It's got this really warm kind of French gray to it. I love it, especially with the matte black handles, because I feel like it really pops. So the difficulty level for this project, I mean, without all of that intricate detailing from my previous dresser, I would say this is 1 out of 5. This is also another project that probably took me just a little bit over an hour. But I still want to show you what it looks like today. It's still sitting in my entryway, even though I am remaking over the entire house, but here she is. This is one of my favorite projects. I think I say that about all of my DIY projects, but this dresser glow up was for the girls' bedroom makeover. If you remember this project, I kind of had to swap out some things because grandma is now staying with us. So the space has to work not only for my 2 toddlers, but for grandma as well. So this is a dresser that I already had. It is another Z Gallerie piece that I actually purchased at the outlet. So I bought this dresser, which retails for $1,000 for $200. And it was so inexpensive because the entire front of the dresser had broken mirror on it. And I knew that with this type of detailing, this was such an easy glow up. Originally, all I did was go out and buy like really inexpensive contact paper. It was so hideous. It was like faux marble, okay? But remember that faux marble craze? And I kind of just lined the front of that, the broken mirror portion with contact paper. Now, when I decided to make over the entire girls' room / guest bedroom, I love this dresser. I was not about to get rid of it. So I knew that all it needed was a fresh coat of paint, some really strategic upholstery on the front panels, and I was able to reuse everything from the hardware to the entire dresser itself. And this was one of those projects that even though it took a little bit more time, I'd probably say total time was a little less than 3 hours. You do have to get familiar with upholstery, okay? So you need to be able to cut out a piece of fabric, lay it on, and it's not difficult at all. But I would say it's probably more difficult than the first dresser. So on a difficulty level of 1 to 5, I would probably say this is about a 3. Budget-wise, cost me nothing. You know, I reused leftover paint that I had in my home. I reused leftover upholstery project from the fabric that I already had, and now look at the space. I love it. It's so pretty. So I enlisted my team to find some dresser glow-ups that they absolutely loved, and here's what they found, and here's why I love it. Building Bridget does an absolutely stellar job making over this dresser. Much of her use of power tools is to help make the process go faster given how big the dresser is, but this flip can definitely be done without them. I mean, as far as the difficulty goes, a project like this would be a great way to challenge yourself in some future DIYs. But since there are some power tools involved, I'm going to say this is a difficulty level of 4 to 5. But then again, these are little details that you don't have to do, okay? I just want you to be inspired by some of these dresser glow-ups and some of the things that people are doing out there. Christina turns this plain antique nightstand into a pink stunner. Her furniture flip included making a base from scratch as well as spray paint for a glossy finish. Given the materials, tools, and effort it took to create this project, I would give this a difficulty rating of 5 out of 5. But something like this, to me, it feels so inspirational. You know, it's like, this is a great way to elevate existing furniture that you still have in your space. You know, think about big box furniture that you already have. Some of them can have like a really plain shape, a really basic design, and then here's how you elevate it. You know, get really creative with your DIY skills. This last dresser glow up is from DIY Decor Diary. She upgrades this farmhouse buffet console with a smart and simple use of wood veneer. The minimal use of power tools and the simplicity of this DIY makes it a great inspiration for those that struggle with taking on longer projects. I would give this beginner-friendly DIY maybe like a 3 out of 5. I love that she used veneer. Like, I am such a huge fan of veneer, especially when you have a piece of furniture with just like MDF or particle board. I mean, the only way to elevate that is to make it look like it's the real thing, right? So a designer's tip is to use real wood veneer. Yes, they make it, you know, really, really thin strips. They also make faux veneer. So even though you're going to be spending less on faux veneer, I mean, this is a DIY project. Shell out on those upgraded materials to make it look really high-end. That's it for today's video, everyone. What did you think of our dresser upgrades? which of these projects you think you would try today. We started rating them on a scale of 1 to 5 because I know that you don't want to waste your time. I'm not trying to waste your time either. It's a really good idea for you to kind of assess what you already have in your space. You know, kind of pull out all the tools you have. If you have like an old bottle of spray paint, I mean, definitely use that as well. Don't forget that the top coat is almost like nail polish top coat, okay? You never want to skip the sealer. The sealer is the most important. So anything that you have, pigment, paint, chalk paint, shellac, veneer, that's underneath that top coat, don't worry, that final coat is going to make it look so beautiful and super glam. So before you go out and spend thousands of dollars on brand new furniture, I really want you to reassess your space and think, you know what? How can we upgrade what we already have? If you like this type of content, you want more DIY videos on the channel, give this video a like and a thumbs up. Comment below and let me know which one of these dresser glow-ups is your fave. Share this video with anyone you know who's looking to upgrade old furniture that they have in their home, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you next week.